What's going on, everyone? So I did a video diving into Tillie, somebody that I haven't really talked about on this channel, so definitely check out that video after this video. But talked about kind of the weirdness and briefly touched on kind of the tarot cards and that scene in the latest episode of episode 3. But wanted to give it a little time so people kind of get caught up, watch the episode, so that way I could dive into the actual scene itself and kind of go over our thoughts and opinions and theories. So make sure you join the discussion down in the comments below. If you haven't seen the episode, then don't watch this video. Come back to it after. And for those people that are still here, let's dive into it. So, Tillie, who is kind of just bizarre and odd in and of herself, right? Even Fatima kind of calls her out on that, creepy Tillie type thing. And you see Tillie kind of come out and go to fix the sheets and stuff that are hanging on the line, the clothesline. And Fatima, who is dealing with the pregnancy and the hunger for these just rotting vegetables, you see her kind of find the big stack, find the big pile. She thinks the coast is clear. She thinks she's safe. She thinks she's good, and just starts eating away, right? And it kind of feels like that is a point in and of itself that they are really kind of building upon. And, we've dove into theories here on this channel and have had conversations about kind of, is the baby evil? Is it her? Is she turning? Is she changing? Is it a combination of both? That could be a real possibility. I actually have a more in-depth theory and idea that I want to dive into in a later video about Fatima potentially changing herself. So look forward to that video. But nonetheless, it's been very odd to see, one, Fatima's behavior, right? There's kind of that sequence with the door where it kind of seems like the door is locked. Now, you could argue, and I made the argument that, she goes to click the door and go to open the door, and then she smells and senses the rotting vegetables that pique her interest, and now she goes over, you see her smelling, sniffing, and then starts indulging herself into that. And now she kind of, that's the only thing she's really eating. She won't touch, won't eat, won't do anything with any of the other stuff. And just the regular food. She only will eat this rotting, decayed food. And there's just a lot of kind of signs and potential coincidences, because obviously we don't know, but a lot of things kind of pointing to, like, there's clearly a connection there. Even the fact that Fatima gets pregnant and right around the time all the food is dying and the land is changing and there's snow and all this stuff. It's kind of one of those things where, how many coincidences no longer become coincidence? Just kind of something to keep in mind. But you see Tillie, who catches her, and Fatima kind of runs away because she realizes, she's been caught, she's been had, oh no, and she takes off and runs away. And later on, you see Tillie try to approach Fatima. Fatima's kind of locked in the room, kind of stressing out, like, oh no, I've been caught. Caught me red-handed, can't hide it, no justification. And Tillie connects with Fatima by explaining to her that, like, hey, I used to lick eggshells, right? I used to get into different things, dig them out of the trash, used to hide it from my husband and all that stuff, right? And kind of has this connection in which she is able to get the door open for Fatima to sit down and kind of have this conversation, have this approach. And then you have this nice little kind of heart-to-heart, this little back and forth between the two, between Fatima as well as Tillie, because Fatima can't really express or explain to anybody. Like she says, I can't really talk to anybody about kind of my feelings and emotions. And Ellis, he's just so happy. He's happiest that I've ever seen him. And he's just, he's trying to do so much and he's working so hard. And I don't want to ruin it for him, right? I don't want to bring him down. I don't want him stressing. I don't want him to worry. But like she says, I'm scared. I'm terrified, and how she talks about, I can't. One of the things though, like, go back and watch the episode if you're able to, where notice Tillie's face when Fatima says she can't even she can't get pregnant. She was never supposed to get pregnant. Like, Tillie really gave a very interesting kind of face and look compared to it. Now, you could argue that it's just, again, simple, like, that, like, she wasn't expecting that type of thing. And it's like, that's odd. No, of course, like, the fun of it all is overanalyzing, right? Like, it's the point. of the show. It's the point of the theory. It's the point of the idea. It's like overanalyzing and just kind of indulging in just different theories and ideas. It's exciting. It's fun. But you kind of fast forward and you end up having a moment where Fatima and Tillie end up sitting down to play with a deck of tarot cards. And it all stems because Fatima is worried, wants to know about the baby, has all these questions, and Tillie relays like, hey, I can answer that for you, right? And she pulls out this deck, and there is this kind of pushback and frustration from Fatima, who just like refuses and thinks Tillie is just being ridiculous and crazy and all that. And you have this kind of emotional moment from Tillie where, she sees like, hey, you really think that of me? You really think I'm just this crazy person that's just, would something that is so important to you, I would try to tarnish and make fun of, right? And just be that kooky lady from. Fatima says, like, I don't know you. Like, I don't know. And, she says, like, yeah, even when sitting down, like, hey, this deck of cards told me everything. It even told me I'd be here. She says, not in the exact words, but if I was able to read the cards better, I would have known a lot of things that kind of foretold my future. And she talks about how now she can read the cards much better. And they sit down to begin having that type of back and forth and try to get some answers. However, Fromville clearly doesn't want that to happen, which I think is incredibly interesting. Because why? Now, look, there is a lot of people that believe in tarot cards. A lot of people that believe that it does actually foretell the future and you can gather information and whatnot. There's a lot of people that don't believe in it and think it's just a parlor trick or whatever, right? Whatever side of the fence you are on, the reality is you have kind of both sides playing out in Fromville, right? You have Tillie, who is a believer in it and has these experiences through the cards in which she believes wholeheartedly. And you have Fatima, who is incredibly skeptical and kind of thinks it's nonsense and it's just a gag and, you're just kind of mocking me and making fun of me and whatnot, and I'm just kind of entertaining you. I also think that Tillie, the way she kind of tries to comfort Fatima, I thought was really odd. So she says, right, like, what's the worst that could happen when we're done? You think, you just have a silly moment, right? I'm paraphrasing, but essentially that you just think it's silly and you leave. And I was like, that's not the worst thing that could happen. The worst thing that could happen is like the cards tell you that you're about to die and your child's about to die or some crazy stuff, right? And now you have that on your mind. Like, there's a lot worse things than just like, this is silly, type thing, especially if Fatima starts to believe in it, right? Like, I just find it very interesting. But you see this kind of, this believer and non-believer sitting down to use these cards, and then Fromville tries to stop it. I mean, it successfully does, as far as we know, try to stop the tarot card reading. Which, why? Fromville has so much control. It's constantly hearing, constantly listening. We've seen that over and over and over again. That Fromville is very aware, right? From just encounters later on to, just things that the monsters have said, all of it, right? Like, so the tarot cards, are they some type of, like, do they really work? Is there really magic in Fromville? Now, for those that might think, it's a little far-fetched, or, you're very skeptical or whatever. Now, one, you got to keep in mind, this isn't the real world. This is a series. But two, you got to keep in mind that they're in a place of essential magic, right? Like, they're in a place that is not of the norm. It's supernatural. It's, you got monsters and giant spiders and all kinds of things, right? Like, this place is not your, magical treats. I mean, the entire place is magic. So it makes sense that, you'd have that kind of tie-in. You'd have that kind of connection. But I thought it was very fascinating that, they lay the cards out and then you get the crow and it hits the window and you get the kind of, you get the warning shot. Get the like, hey, You two are about to do something that you shouldn't be doing. You're doing something that we don't want you to do here. We're giving you a chance. We're giving you an opportunity. Knock it off. And then they decide, nah, we're going to keep doing it. And try to power through and ignore it. And then, bam, that thing just flies through the window and ends up landing in front of Elgin. Correction, Elgin. Ends up landing in front of Elgin, which I thought was very interesting. Because Elgin is the one that's been so tied to Fatima and the baby and having the dreams and whatnot and, you know, hallucinations or whatever, right? Like, I thought that like, I don't believe that sequence was just happenstance. Like, I think that really, there's significance there. You know, whether it's through the tarot cards, whether it's through the baby, or, you know, is it just like this omen that has presented itself, that has caused real concern? But if I'm Fatima, and especially Tillie, I am exploring that now more than, like, I would be, they are clearly trying to stop me for a reason. So let's keep pushing. Let's keep digging. Like, I wouldn't, because again, like, you're probably all going to die anyway. What if that gives you answers? What if that gets you a way out? Right? Like, if it was me, I would be like, no, we need to keep pushing. Right? Like, let them throw whatever they want. I mean, I probably wouldn't do it in the house again just because I wouldn't want to risk everyone's life. But, you know, go in the barn or somewhere, it's just you two. And just, I would try to push and see if you can get the answers. I thought that was very interesting and very telling. And we'll see how this all plays out. If that kind of has a tie around again in a later episode. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, and I pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Did you find it interesting? Were you excited on that scene? What is your opinion? What is your take on that regard? Do you think tarot cards are real? Do you think it was kind of an omen? Do you think it was Fromville trying to stop them? Again, how you feel. Whatever your thoughts are. I'd love to hear it, so let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. It's me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.